Hey guys, how's it going everyone? It's Jackie Felix here, and today I just want to make a video in response to Frostyy's Reddit post that he made yesterday on the video subreddit. So this was posted yesterday and it got quite a bit of attention, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have gone through this post and read it yourselves a little bit. So yeah, I just want to go through that today, and in this post he talks about how he feels that Succession, Wisdom, and Witch are ruining large scale PvP, which is true to a degree, and how he feels the class should be balanced and nerfed quotation marks. So before we begin, I just want to state that there are points in this document I do 100% agree with. There's also some things that I find questionable and a little bit misleading at times. So we'll just go through his post today. I won't really read through all the sections. I'll just go through the important stuff. But essentially, what he's talking about here in the first section is talking about how Succession, Wizard, and Witch, and the state they are in currently is ruining large-scale PvP. This includes sieges, node wars, GVGs, RBFs, AOAs, and open world PvP. And what he talks about in this paragraph here is essentially that if you're in a node war or siege guild, and you're not a witch wizard, you have this pressure, or either like your officers are telling you to reroll witch wizard to become more useful to the guild, or you have this like people are indirectly hinting that you should reroll witch wizard for node wars and siege. And I 100% understand that people have classes they enjoy playing. They have classes they are good at, which might not be the most optimal class for large scale. Which Witch and Wizard was always designed for large scale PvP. I do understand that frustration, and I do understand that it can make people angry. If they are forced to reroll to a class that maybe they don't enjoy playing, but might be stronger and better for the guild. Right? So that's what That's what Frosty's talking about here. He's saying that players are quitting node war guilds. Node war guilds are either dying or struggling to motivate their members to participate in wars because of the endless struggle to recruit wizards and witches, as well as trying to convince their members to switch to wizard or witch so their guild has a chance to win. And he also says here that witch and wizard is one of the biggest reasons that node wars and sieges are not enjoyable for people, which is arguable, right? Like, I think that personally the most unenjoyable thing in a node war or siege is either having a really unbalanced fight, or the game being so laggy and so desyncy that you can't play the game properly. I personally think that's what I find least enjoyable. But obviously everybody has their own opinion, so that's fine. It says here, veteran players are beginning to feel forced to reroll to Witch or Wizard in order to compete, or feel it is time to quit the game entirely because they don't want to play Witch, Wizard or Witch. Which I understand as well. So yeah, that's the second part is pretty much the same thing. It also talks about how large scale node war guilds or siege guilds have a lower requirement for witch wizards compared to other classes. Which makes sense, because again, witch wizard is a class that was made for large scale PvP, and I do understand the counter argument where people are saying that but also Succession Wizard is still very strong in small scale, and is decently strong in 1v1s as well. So I see that point, and I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree that there should be some nerfs to Succession wizard and witch. But I'll go through that later in the video. And he says here, this cannot be intended. Well, I think it is intended, especially by the creators of this game, especially for large scale. Witch and wizard were essentially always the kings and queens of large scale PvP, because that's what the classes were designed to do. They were designed to be a large scale class and be a very good large scale class. Just the same thing as, you know, maybe a Awakening Lan is designed to be very good at 1v1s. Or, you know, a warrior or a ninja is designed to be very good at ninja, for example, is designed to be very good at 1v1s, 1vxing, and small scale PvP, right? So there are classes that are designed for specific purposes in this game. And again, I do also understand that Succession Wizard can be good at all these different aspects of PvP, whether it's large scale, small scale, or 1v1s. Now, this paragraph, he talks about slow debuffs and range damage. He talks about how if you're a melee class and you're trying to engage a ball witch wizards, you will be slowed, you will take damage, and you will most likely die. Now, I'll be honest here, I think this is true like back 2 years ago when I was playing the game, because I've been doing Siege for almost 2 to 3 years now, in Black Rose, in Corrupt, in Aftershock, in Yokai, a lot of these guilds, I've been PvPing a lot. And it's the same, it's been true back then, it's been true now, okay? If you're gonna walk up to a ball and try to engage it, you're gonna take damage, you're gonna get slowed, and you're gonna die. Which, you know, I do understand that Witch Wizard does have range skills, whereas melee classes might not have that option. But that's pretty much how the game has been for a very long time, right? But I do understand his argument here, where he says that Wizards' slow debuffs and range damage are very strong, which I agree with that. And he says because of this, Witch and Wizard, because of Witch and Wizard, more and more players feel the class is either useless or not fun to play anymore. I think that what I've experienced still is even if you're on a lower class that isn't considered that good in large scale PvP in Node Wars and Siege, I've still seen select players that are very good on class fill special roles. I'm talking about special tasks such as anti-cannons, flex. I'm talking about more specialized roles that doesn't necessarily include main ball fights as much, still perform very well. And even in some cases, really geared and skilled players, like in main ball fights, still perform very well, right? But I do understand if you're a person that isn't playing a meta class such as Witch and Wizard, and you don't have that much gear, and you don't have that much skill, I can see you struggling a lot on a melee class and feel next to useless large scale, which, you know, I think that's what sOFrOsTyyy is trying to say here. So now the range damage says the range damage is way too high and way too safe for Wizard. He's comparing Succession Wizard to Succession Ranger, where he's saying that Succession Ranger does have a lot of range damage, but a lot of it is unprotected, which I think it is. Yeah. Now he says that with Wizard and Witch, this is rarely true. When they are throwing range damage, most of it is protected, like Meteor, Throne Guard, and Super Armor, and the Lightning rotation. So let me just show you Wizard's skills real quick. So right now I have my PvE spec, but I'll just switch to PvP real quick, and I'll show you. So our range skills, MMA is unprotected, Earth Arrow is unprotected with a stiffen, Fireball is unprotected, Fireball Explosion is unprotected with a KD, or you can also choose to go Fireball Explosion Focus, which has like less than half a second of super armor, and it has no CC. It does slightly more damage. Now meteor, this is our biggest skill, right? This is protected. It has 4 guard on casting and super armor when the meteor is landing. So this one, high voltage is a frontal guard, no CC, and the combo version is unprotected, a bound. Sorry. Yeah, I think that one doesn't have a bound, but yeah, this one has a bound. So the residual lightning, this one is SA, but usually people do lightning at the start. So this version is unprotected at the start for a little bit, and then it also has a large gap at the end of the skill. So the start and end of the skill is unprotected. If you can choose to hotbar the skill, and then it's protected at the start, and then it's not protected. It has a pretty large gap at the end. Prime freeze, this is unprotected. Blizzard is unprotected. And then look at our Rabams. Rabam Fireball is unprotected. Lightning Spear is unprotected. So this person's statement here, where he's saying that most of Wizard and Witch's range damage has protection, it's just not true. Just straight up not true. So this is why I asked Frosty this in the stream. I asked, have you ever played or ever mained Witch or Wizard? And he said yes. Yes, I did. I did main Witch and Wizard. I played it in the battle arena, and my response to that is, if you really did play Witch Wizard that much, why are you stating a comment like this when it's obviously just not true? So that's my question to that, right? And this leads on to my next point later on about the nerfs he's proposing. Those nerfs are not really to balance succession wizard, it's more to kill, which is my biggest issue. Do I agree that it needs nerfs? Yeah, 100% agree. Do I agree with the nerfs he listed in this post? Not at all. I don't think that killing each individual class is a good way of going forward, trying to balance a Korean MMO. There's a little bit of irony in that statement as well. Okay, so this next big paragraph here, he talks about AoE skills, he talks about Voltaic, Pulse, and Frigid Fog, and I can tell you this right now. If you are a Succession Wizard player that just TPs in Voltaic, Frigid, Evade, Earthquake, I can guarantee you not do well in large scale. I guarantee it, okay? And this leads, well, I do agree it is also strong, right? So Voltaic is a bound, Frigid is a freeze, and Evade, Earthquake is a stiffen, right? He also talks about that a part of being good at large scale is positioning, which is true for every single class. So he's kind of implying the point here that Witch and Wizard doesn't require you to be that good at positioning, which just isn't true. But okay. Lastly, the stamina bar thing, which I agree with this point, right? So Witch Wizard, the stamina cost is pretty low. The only real cost of stamina is when you're doing this magical evasion sideways, which is unprotected, but that's the biggest thing that takes stamina. Other than that, you can hold in your meteors, which cost stamina. As you can see, it's slowly draining my stamina there. And then once it reaches like around 20, I think. Oh, sorry. When it reaches 0, it will release the meteor, right? Like around 0. So those are the two biggest things that require stamina on Witch Wizard. It's pretty much always been like that. Witch Wizard has never really required that much stamina. I don't think anyone's really complained about that much since Succession came out. But yeah, at this point, I agree with this point. And now this is my biggest problem with the post, right? As he said, I've asked various players from different communities and servers the following question. If you could make one single change to Witch and Wizard classes, what would it be? Here's a list in order from most popular to least, right? It says remove slows from the kit, and then next one is remove split teleport from Succession Wizard, lower the damage of Voltaic Pulse and Frigid Fog, make range abilities, especially ones with CC such as Prime Media, unprotected, significantly lower the damage on the range abilities, and increase the cooldowns of skills like Voltaic and Frigid. That's what the community suggests. Now, here are some suggestions he recommends. He says that Prime Media, there needs to be a downside to the skill. It's a high damaging skill, large AoE, has a far range, a CC on every hit, and another CC on last hit. So back in the days, a lot of people complain about the stiffness on Media, but back in the days on Awakening, if you didn't have Sage, the reason they put stiffness on Media, I believe, is because it was such a slow skill, has such a long cast time, that if you didn't really have stiffen, then people could just walk out of the Media, which still happened with the stiffen. So that's why the stiffness was in. But in Succession, when you can like almost instantly cast the Media, the stiffen can be a little bit oppressive, which I agree, right? And my recommendation with Prime Media especially is, and I made a video on my thoughts on what the Succession nerfs should be. One of them was to add a cast bar on the Media, the Prime Media. That like if you're slow casting or fast casting it, right? That would that way. So if you change Media, right? Like you also need to look at Awakening Wizard and Witch Media as well, which makes it a little difficult, right? But I think the easiest way is to give Media a cast bar back, similar to Awakening. Either that, or you can also choose to remove the stiffen and start from the Media. Or you can also choose to increase the cooldown, maybe from 30 to 45 seconds. Frigid Fog. Significantly lower the PvP damage of Prime Frigid Fog. Now, let me show you the skill, just so you're aware. So Frigid Fog, it's 1467 by 5, 50% crit rate, plus 11% accuracy. The thing with Frigid Fog is it doesn't really do that much damage unless the target is already on the ground. That means if you bound them and then you hit the Frigid, then they will take a lot of damage. But if you just Frigid them standing up, they won't really take that much damage. So you look at the skill does have down attack, and what I said was, look at the crit rate as well. It's plus 50% crit rate. With an E buff, that's with E buff and your crit add-ons, that will bring it up to 100% crit rate. So it's a combination of the accuracy rate, the crit rate, the down attack damage makes it extremely powerful, right? Now the fact it has, I don't really care if it has freeze on the skill or not. I think if you look at the modifiers, maybe is the 11% accuracy rate really required on that skill? I don't know if that's required. About the crit rate. Look at the crit rate, look at the accuracy rate. The CC, I don't think the CC is that big of a deal because most people will take into Frigid anyways. But I do understand that, Frigid does sometimes CC people in protection a lot as well. So you can look at the CC too, regards to that skill. So again, looking at the PvP damage, you should look at the modifiers as well, instead of just the PvP damage, right? Prime ranged abilities. Slightly reduce the damage of all ranged lightning skills in PvP or give them split damage similar to Blizzard. Now, let me show you the ranged lightning skills that Succession Wizard has. Now, I do agree, the one skill I do agree needs a slight damage nerf is the high voltage. I think this skill does a lot of damage. It has frontal guard, and it has 100% crit rate and accuracy rate. So maybe look at those modifiers a little bit, right? And then this skill, the lightning combo, this skill doesn't really do that much damage. It has a slow attached to it, right? But I don't think the skill really needs a damage nerf. I think that it has a really large AoE. It has 2 hits to it, right? So you can hit a lot of people, and yeah, I feel like people mainly complain about the slows on this skill rather than the damage, but okay. And then the other, I'm assuming I'll just go through the other lightning skill. I don't know who's talking about this. This lightning spear is more for PvE, not really for PvP. It doesn't really do that much damage in PvP at all. I think when I think he's talking about ranged lightning skills, he's talking about this high voltage and the residual lightning combo, right? But I agree, this needs a damage nerf. This is, you're looking at more the slows and stuff. Alright, after that, stamina. Add a stamina cost to all their mobility, so their movement, so they cannot use their movement. Definitely. Saying prime earth response, prime earthquake, magical evasion. So if he doesn't already know this, which is why I asked if he actually played the class, magical evasion already has a stamina cost. But, you know, I don't necessarily disagree with adding a stamina cost to earth response and, you know, maybe teleport. But like those skills on a relatively decent cooldown already, apart from earth response. If you're planning to add a stamina cost to these skills, then I don't think they'll really affect the class that much unless you plan to make the stamina costs excessive, right? Slows, remove the slow debuff that lightning skills have. My problem isn't so much with the slows of Wizard, which my problem is more in general slow stacking, right? Because a lot of classes have slows, and if you're gonna remove all the slows from which wizard, then the only slow we'll have is really this skill, which is our Blizzard, right? So, and slows have a role in this game where if a ball is stronger than yours and if they're PA'd, the only thing you can really do is try to slow them down, right? Now, I think a 30 to 40% slow is, you know, that's manageable. Do I think a 70, 80, 90% slow is manageable? No, I do not. I think what sOFrOsTyyy is saying here is slow stacking should be addressed. Not that all slows should be removed. Almost all the slows should be Wizard and Witch, right? Because if you remove the slows from the lightning abilities, then you have to remove the slows from the awakened Wizard and Witch lightning abilities as well, right? Or else it just doesn't make any sense at all. So I think sOFrOsTyyy here is more talking about slow stacking. Okay. Said the removal or split teleport. I took the removal or split teleport out because I think teleport is one of the reasons Succession Wizard is fun. Goal here is not to make these classes boring or bad. Split teleport makes a class fun and play. Okay, I agree with that. I think the last thing you want to do to a class is nerf its mobility. I think in terms of the tiers of nerfs, I would prefer is, you know, the easiest thing to do is tune down its damage. And I'll say this, I'll put the link to what I think the nerf should be for Succession. succession wizard, which I made a couple of months ago in the description down below. But in addition to that, I feel like Pearl Abyss needs to relook, go back through the damage, class damage modifiers, because it especially look at the amount of damage that casters do to each other. It's absolutely insane, and also to some of the other classes, right? I think that if some of the class damage modifiers were reduced a bit for succession wizard, it would it would fix some of the issues that people have been complaining about the class, right? Now, while going through these, so again, I don't disagree with most of the stuff that's in this post. I do think some of it is a little bit unreasonable and a little bit uneducated from his knowledge of the class, which is why I've always been a little bit skeptical when people propose all these changes to a class that they seem to not know that much about, right? And this is one of those scenarios, which, you know, the post itself, I do agree with a lot of the points, but some of the points are a little bit questionable. That's all I'm saying, right? Yeah, but that's pretty much all I want to talk about. It's like 26 minutes long. I'm sorry it went for that long. If you guys have any thoughts, opinions, or questions, anything I missed out on, leave them in the comments section down below. I'll take a look through them later today. But yeah, apart from that, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Peace.